Welcome back to The Hill on NewsNation, and you are looking at a live shot of Buckingham Palace. Final preparations are underway for the coronation of King Charles III. He's the oldest monarch to ascend the British throne in a lineage dating back 1,000 years. The royal ceremony begins tomorrow at 6 a.m. Eastern Time here on this side of the pond. And joining us now, I am privileged and honored to say, is the British ambassador to the United States, Karen Pierce. Madam Ambassador, thank you very much for joining us. And I am going to defer right away to the foremost Anglophile on this panel tonight. She's going to ask you some questions. Maybe number two here is Carrie Sheffield. But number one, who's got a distinct claim to it, is Julia Manchester. Julia, take it away.
Yeah, Ambassador Pierce, it's great to see you. Thank you for being with us. You know, I think when we talk...
Pleasure.
Yes. Yeah, so I think here in the United States, when we talk about King Charles, I think in a way he's underrated. You know, we don't know a lot about his history. You know, he was one of the first major voices to speak out about climate change and environmentalism. As the defender of the faith and the head of the Church of England, he wants to be inclusive of all faiths and having those faiths incorporated into tomorrow's ceremony. I want to get your sense as to what kind of monarchy we can expect from him in the year 2023 and beyond.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having me. So the king has been able to spend a long time thinking about his role. I would highlight three things in particular. One is the bringing all communities together. As you said, he wants to bring the faiths together. That's been incredibly important for him throughout his life when he was Prince of Wales. The second thing I'd highlight is that he's a true friend of America. He's visited America some 20 times. He's met 10 of the last 14 presidents. He talked to President Biden on the 4th of April, and they had a very, very good conversation, including about climate change, so completely agree with you there. And then the third thing I'd highlight is his work on diversity in its broadest sense. He has run a charity called the Prince's Trust, which does a lot of work with young people, particularly young offenders, helping them get back on their feet. And he also shows a very deep interest in apprenticeships. So I think he's going to be a very modern monarch.
Ambassador, thank you so much for being here. This is Carrie Sheffield, a very British last name, I must say. So I want to ask about the continent and what happened with Brexit. What's your read on the king? Will he do anything differently from the Queen in terms of, you know, there was the Brexit, there was the divorce from the mainland, but do you think he will take any more of a notable approach? Do you think he might be a bit more proactive? I mean, the Queen was very, you know, took a distance from affairs and sort of, you know, was an island of calm. What's your read on that?
So in Britain, like a lot of the European monarchies, is what's called a constitutional monarchy. They don't take positions on government matters. So it's very different from here, where your head of state is obviously an executive president. That's not what the king is, but he has a very deep affection for Europe. He recently paid a state visit to Germany. Some of his ancestors were German. He spoke in German. He has a deep love of France. And if you go back to Queen Victoria, you find that a lot of the royal houses in Europe are actually related. So I think he will want to be friends with Europe, and he'll want to deepen the relationships with Europe's heads of state. But he already knows a lot of them already.
Madam Ambassador, it's Chris Stirewalt. Thank you for being with us. We went to quite a lot of trouble in the United States to not have a royal family. But then we created something much worse, which are celebrities. And in the United States, instead of obsessing over the comings and goings of royals, the members of the peerage, we have Kardashians, et cetera. What could American celebrities learn from about their deportment and about how to be from the royal family? What's a lesson that Americans could take?
Oh, I wouldn't dare, Chris. I would not presume to tell American celebrities anything at all. That's way above my pay grade. But I think one very good thing about the royal family is that they always show up when they're needed. They always try and help. They have a deliberate policy of convening, of trying to bring people together, and they have a deliberate policy of trying to find the best in any situation. And I think those things, coupled with their public roles, they work very hard. For example, William and Kate, Prince and Princess of Wales, were in Boston last year at the JFK Library doing their Earthshot Prize, brought lots of young people, young performers together, some fantastic winners. So I think they well understand that they can lend themselves to a cause and really amplify that cause and do some good.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.